of the previous meeting, minutes of the previous meeting.
Gotta approve the agenda. You have to approve the agenda.
No.
No?
All good.
Also,
All good?
Okay.
Alrighty. And bills and accounts?
Everything's ready?
Everything, alrighty. Okay.
Need a motion second on that, right?
Yeah.
you're both.
Alan, right? Alan, right, yeah. And the resolution adopting organizational rules for Board of Water Commissioner meeting. Alrighty, let's see.
Joe, I drafted this and I sent it out to the members of the board. There are two things I think we should consider as a board, and one is that technically we don't have a written instructions or notice as to how meetings should be conducted with respect to visitors. We haven't had that in the past, and since it's now become more prevalent, I would recommend that the board consider a resolution for rules of conduct at the Water Commissioners meetings. And also, in accordance with that, I think that at the beginning of each meeting, that the president should recite what I have next there too as a second page for a public comment period. I think that should be read at each meeting where we have guests.
Exactly. I'm agreeing with that, so. Would you,
The resolution
Al,
will
would
be
you
distributed to everyone.
like to read the resolution?
Sure.
Or you want to do it, Bill?
No, it's fine.
Want me to read it? Titled Rules of Conduct for Kingston Board of Water Commissioner Meetings. Whereas the New York State Open Meeting Law, Article 7, Public Officers Law, gives members of the public the right to attend meetings of public bodies. And whereas the Committee on Open Government has stated that any such rules could serve as a basis for preventing interruptions, and that a board may regulate actions of the public attending meetings so as not to interfere with meetings or prevent others in attendance from observing or hearing the deliberative process. And whereas the board can reasonably limit the length and general nature of public comments to issues pending before the board, and so that it can consider various points of view and proceed with its business. Whereas the board can set a specific time set in the agenda for public participation and comment. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Water Commissioners hereby adopts the following rules for public participation at meetings of the board. Number 1, except for public hearings duly designated as such by action of the board, public participation at meetings of the board shall be limited to 15 minutes of the public participation on the agenda items at the beginning of each board meeting. Number 2, public comment, whether during the public participation segment of the board meeting or during a duly designated public hearing, shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. An individual's time may not be given or traded to other speakers or reserved for other portions of the meeting. Number 3, any individual wishing to speak during the public participation segment or during a public hearing shall sign a list in advance of the meeting indicating a request to address the board. When recognized by the board president, the individual must stand and state his or her name and address, and if appropriate, group affiliation, and must state the subject he or she will be addressing. Number 4, comments must relate to the business of the board. Number 5, the board president shall act as timekeeper or shall designate another official or department employee as timekeeper. Number 6, speakers and audience members must observe proper decorum. Any statements made during the meeting by the members of the board or members of the general public shall not involve personal, impertinent, or slanderous attacks on individuals, regardless of whether the individual so attacked is an elected official, appointed official, or employee, or a member of the general public. The use of profane, vulgar, inflammatory, threatening, abusive, or disparaging language, or racial or ethnic slurs shall not be tolerated. Number 7, the board president shall control the meeting. Number 8, it is inappropriate to utilize a public meeting for the purpose of making political speeches, including threats of political action, and the same will not be allowed. Number 9, comments by speakers must be addressed to the board. Attendees may not address the board unless recognized by the board president. Number 10, discussion between speakers and attendees of the public meeting or hearing is prohibited. Number 11, banners, flyers, or other signs are not permitted in the meeting room. Distribution of flyers in the meeting room is also not permitted. Number 12, any person who disregards the directives of the board president in enforcing the rules, or who generally conducts himself or herself so as to act in a boisterous or inappropriate manner while addressing the board, or otherwise disturbs the peace at a meeting, will be barred from further participation and forfeit any balance of time remaining for his or her comments. Number 13.
Here.
If a speaker who has violated these rules refuses to step down, the board president may ask for the individual to be removed from the meeting room and charged with disorderly conduct as per the penal law. Number 14, the above rules shall take effect immediately.
In addition to that, Joe, I've also had this statement, which I think should be attached to that, which I'd also like to consider as part of that resolution. And I'll read you that as well.
Statement reads as follows. The meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners is now called to order. There will be a 15-minute public comment period at the beginning of every meeting where the board will entertain comment from the public on any agenda item. Questions and comments from the public are not permitted during the course of the meeting. To address the board, those wishing to comment shall list their names and addresses on a list provided before the commencement of the meeting. All comments or inquiries are to be addressed to the board through the board president. Written comments or questions will be accepted following the meeting and may be submitted through the business office of the department. During the meeting, all electronic devices be silenced.
Okay.
Debbie and I have spent considerable time providing additional engineering with historical data, drawings, and so far as I know, to date, the engineers have received everything that they believe that they're going to need to move forward, and the borings that we approved and discussed, I believe it was last month, have been done. And they're analyzing that data. So we should start to get some deliverables back from them a couple weeks toward the end of the month. So based on the schedule for compliance that we have with DEC for fulfilling our requirements in terms of getting the designs, and we're on schedule with that.
Okay.
March was like the last, wasn't there a March date?
Right, and I think that by the end of January, we'll have, I think the process now, and Jim, please jump in here, they're trying to actually come up with the design, the recommendation for the design that they believe would resolve the issues that are outstanding in terms of the deficiencies on the dam. And the dike, right, I mean,
Jimmy, you want to try a little closer? Or you-
and that's really what they're, that's what, so they have that information, they've done the borings, and there's a possibility they may have to come back and, you know, do one or two more additional as they start to analyze the data. They may find, and in the borings, they're looking for the extent of soil compaction to know what loading is possible and what else would need to be done to beef up that structure.
Right.
If it's even required. I mean, there may be nothing, this may show that there's nothing that needs to be done in that regard, but, you know.
Right, that also affects the slope, the proposed new
Right.
slope of the dam, which is the major part where they bring a lot of soil in on the main dam. The soils analysis will give them a better picture on how much soil they have to add and whether a 3.3 to 1 slope or a 3.25 to 1 slope is the correct slope to hold back the resistance on the other side, the resultant.
Right. Because
That's the main purpose Judy, pointed out, to investigate the actual soil that's in that ground, to see what it's capable of withholding.
And in terms of the spillway capacity, there's several things that they're looking at and trying to cross out. So I'm not going to swear this by the February meeting, but certainly by the March meeting, they should be able to come back to this board and say, this is the design that we're proposing, this is what we intend, we think you should do. And these are the costs, that they can kind of refine those costs.
Okay. Is there going to be a soil analysis on the soil they're going to bring in too?
There'd be specification on sure, based on what they find and what the standards are.
So it'll be similar to what's there?
I don't know about that, Jim.
No, it may be.
It may be different.
It may be different,
Yeah.
depending on when they analyze what they have. They may go to a different quality of soil to save more slope, and save money that way. So, it wouldn't be too far off of what's there now, though. It'd be somewhat similar.
Because one of the deficiencies is the slope, it's too steep, based on current design standards. Yeah, I guess they have different standards with like that.
We'll find out.
But Jim, I would assume the type of soil would modify the slope at all?
Yes.
That's what he said.
Yeah, and I would assume if they do that, then is that they're gonna look for a soil that's more granular and can be compacted more, where,
Right.
so therefore we would save some money in the amount of soil that has to be brought in on the dry side. Not much, we're not talking, again,
The
tremendous
cost of that
amount.
soil is
Yeah,
quite a bit more expensive
Yeah,
than...
that's it.
yeah. It's a matter of that, plus where they have to import the soil, where they're gonna get the soil from. They have to look at what's available and within a 100-mile radius, so to speak. At the time when, we get ready to design, we'll have to start looking where the volume of soil that we need and where it's available. That's important.
Gee, when we had the cement plant here, we probably got it back.
For free, right? That gets fabric between the existing soil and then the new soil? Is that the way it was originally spec'd, or one of the original proposals? Where they put a fabric down that allows a leach and then soil on top, or?
I don't recall.
I don't think they're gonna put fabric, they would have it
I don't think they will.
at the toe of the dam. I think they're gonna put fabric.
I'm going by what they done up in Troy, Judy, when I stopped by and seen,
Oh, well, you talked to Chris?
when I talked to Chris, they put fabric down, brought soil in, and then rip wrapped it typically.
We did that at
Certain
Mink
area.
Hollow. We did that at Mink Hollow. So that, in that application, it was because we had these big, big boulders, and they wanted to stop the fines from going through there. And that's where the soil, the fabric was used. I'm not sure that that's been discussed yet. It may just be a detail that, we haven't gotten down to that level of detail yet. That may be, they certainly may.
Okay. Motion made, second?
No more.
No motion.
All right. Okay, phase 1B.
Talked to Tom this morning. He figures we'll be out to bid on that project within the next 3 weeks. He will be providing me with an updated schedule in the next day or two. He needed to check with his structural guy and a couple other folks. He's trying to back into our March meeting in terms of, solicitation of bids, the 30 to 60 days you need to get people to be able to prepare their bid submissions, time for him to review it and make a recommendation of award that would coincide with our March meeting, which, I don't know what the date of that meeting is, but obviously it's the second Wednesday. So he has all those dates, and he's gonna try to back into that, and when I get that schedule, I can send it around. The items that, the designs have been approved by DOH. The items that he had outstanding were a couple of little items that had to be included, language insertions and things like that. They needed to be included for, because of the grant, sandy mitigation loan program that we qualified for. There's certain federal requirements that we had to comply with. And also, as part of that money, we had put in there for flood mitigation measures in terms, and so there's a couple little outstanding items, flood-proof doors and some other things that he's working on. But he expects it'll all be wrapped up in the next 2 to 3 weeks, and we'll be out to bid and ready to rock and roll. Al and I completed the package to submit for the loans so that the disbursement would, July of this year? On the sandy mitigation?
June or July.
June or July. And so we have a March 15th, we had a deadline, we made that, they reviewed it. Now we have some outstanding items which are typical when you have 500 pieces of paper you have to send to 12 different people. We have a short punch list of about 10 items or 15 items that we have to comply with. There's 6 of them that we have to do by March 15th. Tom and Al and I are going to have a conference call next Thursday to just review, so we all understand what it is they're asking for and which one of us is going to do it and when they're going to get it. And so we should have that all wrapped up. So I see no difficulty in meeting that deadline. And the staff is really excited about getting this project going. I mean, they can't wait. A long time in coming, Debbie says.
I see the disbursement to CVM for that. Was that the bulk of the cost, engineering costs of that project right now, or is there still a lot more to come?
I think that's pretty much it. The only other things that will happen is that we have a price for it, but will be the contract management, supervision. But the design work, we're done.
A lot of that was done already, right? The original.
Done already. And some of the other additional was extra work involved in, that we've all approved, that you approved for those requirements in the mitigation grant.
Okay.
Okay.
Jim, you don't have anything there, do you? Any?
No.
Okay, you know.
Just, we're ready to.
We're ready to go. Yeah.
Ready to rock and roll.
Ready to rock and roll.
Ready to roll.
Yeah, get it done and just get the filters running.
Long time going.
Yeah.
Now, with the water tank out there, is that
Covered right on its heels.
a separate?
Separate item, but it'll be right behind it.
Hey, Tony Elster to host and intern.
Yes, and that's why I redid the agenda at the last minute, because I forgot to include it, frankly. I've been contacted by the folks that run the water and wastewater certification programs at UC. And they have had a 3-credit course out there for matriculated students for degree programs. Never have extended that program to the continuing ed department, and so now they're going to do that for water and wastewater folks. These people are enrolled in a 3-credit course, classroom work. It's designed, the purpose of this for both matriculated and these continuing ed students is to see if this is really the field they want to go into. So there's coursework, they have a paper, they have some other requirements, and they have to spend 8 hours a week for 15 weeks at either a water plant or a wastewater plant, depending upon which program they're in. I met with them. We actually met the 2 students. We're being asked to host one, and this sewer plant's being asked to host another one. Our meeting is first, so I think the mayor just found out about it this morning because Alan, when they mentioned to me, even though he's a wastewater guy, would you take him? I talked to Alan Winchell, and Alan said, hey, I'd love to have somebody, that'd be great, because we can't find operators when we need them. So there's 2 students, one we're going to look at, These guys are absolutely enrolled students. They are not employees. This program costs us nothing. And the college will indemnify us with a certificate of liability that for naming us and the city, if they elect to go on this, as additional named insured. Had a long conversation this morning with the woman who handles the insurance for the college, and I had to explain to her what the difference was. I'm kind of scared.
You know that.
Yeah, I know, I can recite it by heart. After 27 years, I got the drill. Anyway, the student that we're looking at is a slightly older student. She's had lab experience, and she just, is just looking to round out her experience, and she's already completed that water operator's class. So she'd be able to be the second pair of hands for those 8 hours every day. She'd actually be able to do something productive and see if this is really what she wants to do.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
For how long a period of time?
They start January 20th, and they go till, well, whenever they're done in May. It's 15 weeks. They have a much more intense program in the summer that really spans, I think, 7 weeks. And then the time requirement per week doubles there, just so that, 16 hours, if we want to consider somebody for the month.
How many hours a week?
8.
8 hours a week?
8, it's a,
1 day's work or spread
well,
out?
it really depends on the student and the plant staff. They can decide what works best. The student that we're looking at that is in the program that would want to be in a water plant situation, she comes in from Dutchess County. So, my guess, and I don't know, she'd want to do it all in one day, because why would you want to travel
Right.
for 2 hours a day? But that's between her and Derek to work that out. I certainly would recommend we try it. It's 15 weeks. If we don't like it, we never have to do it again.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But,
You might pick up an employee.
you could, I mean, these are.
Would she be the only one right now, or?
She's the only one in this program, yes. And the young man, it's kind of the first go-around for this, and the young man is, the wastewater curriculum, he's just started that class. The wastewater is always offered in the spring semester, and water is always offered, the water certification classes are always in the fall. So the student that we'd be getting, the intern, has already completed the class, and he's just starting. And I think he's probably, I don't know how old he is, but he looks like he's just, pretty brand new out of high school.
Okay.
But then I'm old, so he could be 40, I would know.
So I assume they get college credit?
They get
for
3
it?
college credits for this, and that's why they're students, and it's part of their course requirement that they be there. So there's no workers' comp liability on our end, and there's no, unemployment insurance. They can't go out and collect unemployment after they do their 15, and we've had all those experiences.
How many hours is the entire program, the curriculum that they're under for it?
Well, this is separate from, this is something that's offered as a 3-credit course at the college, and it's separate from their certification class. That's a 30-hour class, that's a 60-hour class.
Okay.
Yeah, 60-hour class. It's two nights a week, 3 hours a night for the whole semester. Same thing, water and wastewater.
But when you take those courses, you're not required to take,
No, you're not.
so this is like a new program?
This is a new program in addition to that, and not, a lot of people that are in the water or wastewater certification class already work someplace, they already have a job. But they really were looking for returning veterans who, may have some financial ability to go back to school through the GI Bill or whatever that program is, and to be able to be retrained. And so that's really, they extended it down for that purpose. The 2 people that are taking advantage of it don't happen to be veterans, but it may gain in popularity. And I've committed to helping her find other sites, so if they had 5 students, we'd take one, and maybe Saugerties would take one, and Port Union would take somebody.
All right, let's do it.
Okay,
Okay. Ray?
Do you need a motion?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, what did you say?
Second, Bob?
Well, I'm not gonna retain somebody, I'm gonna allow them to be an intern.
Any objections? No. Okay.
Our perennial, I have a leak and it has to be your meter favorite, Mr. Iannucci, he's submitted, he has a high bill, can't possibly, it must be our meter. We've been down this road in almost every winter. I'm not asking you to do anything about that, because frankly, he hasn't availed himself of your policy. Your policy is that if you dispute the reading, there's a procedure to have the meter tested, and he's not doing that, he just wants to jump right to you. And just so you know, I'm gonna contact him and say, you really, the recourse is have the meter tested. And this
How
is the
can you make
policy.
this assumption there's something wrong there unless you have a meter tested? You can't.
Well, if you're right-brained and rational, absolutely. But if you just wanna get out from under the bill, you're just gonna,
Well,
start,
How
huffing.
big is it now?
Oh, Al, I don't know, but it's a couple $1,000s, wouldn't you say, his bill? Do you know how big the bill is?
I don't.
I'll be honest with you, the magnitude of the bill doesn't matter when they complain to me, it's just, I mean, it's for his second home here, he's only here on the weekend, so he doesn't, it's an extraordinarily high bill for his normal consumption.
But it's a residence as opposed to a business or anything.
Yeah, it's the old French house.
it's a leak.
I don't have a thought on it. When we go to any of his properties, we could never find a leak. You can draw your own conclusions. But we do that as a courtesy. We try to help homeowners and small business folks try to find their leaks whenever we can. But even if we found a rip-roaring leak, it doesn't absolve them of the bill, as you well know. We do it as courtesy so that they don't waste their money, that kind of thing. But we weren't, when the crew went there, they were not able to find any leak. Somebody could have left a faucet on.
Yeah, sure. Toilets running, everything, could
Could
do a lot of
have been,
things.
could have been, don't know. Just trying to see his email here.
Well,
About $900 is his bill, which is really high for him.
Okay. All right.
So I'm just making you aware of that.
What was the address in it, Trudy?
It's the old Fitch House. On Beale Street? I don't know the address.
Oh,
You know, when I tell you that, you know what I mean, right?
Which,
Where, which house?
the
Well,
end
the
of
Fitch House,
The Fitch? Oh,
532 to 540 of Beale. It's the old stone house, the old
Yeah.
Fitch Business Services, but we had one leak on Pine Street yesterday.
Isn't there something in here, about an 8-inch, Washington, or?
Yeah, that was last
Back
month.
in December.
Yeah, that was December 26th, I believe. No, yeah, December 26th.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right
day
there,
after Christmas. Day after Christmas. Leak on Pine Street was in front of 166. Technically, it's the first house in from St. James Street, going toward Greenkill on the left, water main's on the left there. But the first house is on St. James Street, but it was right there. It was cracked around,
Yeah.
it was just nasty to fix it. It was really cold. But they did what they had to do. Ryan messed his shoulder up, he'll be out for a month.
Tell them thank you, by the way.
Huh?
Tell them thank you for their service, for their
Oh my
dedication.
God, Eddie Boyle was plowing snow for DPW, and they were short drivers, so the assistant superintendent is out plowing the streets. And
And they were on Christmas vacation?
this was yesterday,
Oh, yesterday.
And he, as he's plowing, he's seeing the water come out. So about 6:30 in the morning, guys came, they're all in here at 6:30, even though they don't start work till 7 anyway. They'll come in, have a cup of coffee, sit down and chat, and get ready for the day, so. They were done by, I don't think there was any overtime, I think they were done before 3. They were done about 2, because they were all eating lunch at 2 o'clock.
Executive session? Make the motion.
Yep.
All right, and we'll go into executive session and,
Joe, would you like to state the purpose for that executive session?
excuse me.
Purpose, I mean, technically, I think you're supposed to,
Yeah, we have the personnel,
4 of them. We have 4 different personnel
Yeah.
issues to deal with, yes.
Is there anything that's gonna require a motion when we come out?
Yes,
There is, okay.
yes.
No, I was gonna say, that last month we happened to do the superintendent's report, so
You can do that, and.
as long as there's no motions,
The only motion is, and I'm not
Do
sure.
what?
Superintendent's report.
One of our employees, and the motion, just to describe what it is, so you can decide if you want to stay or not. One of our employees completed his certification class and is due to be promoted to a water plant operator. That would be the motion. You know, I can tell you who it is and all that in executive session, but that would be the motion.
Whatever.
Do we want to modify the agenda even in the future and have the superintendent's report before the executive?
Sure. That's what you want, we can do anything.
That way,
Yeah, the public doesn't have to hang around for whatever.
right.
Sure.
So can we do that now then?
That
Superintendent's
sounds
report?
like a good idea. Let's go.
And you're
superintendent.
aware that the superintendent's report becomes part of the minutes? So when you look at the minutes, they're in there.
Okay.
Okay, just so you know.
And this is a public document, okay?
No.
No.
Well, yes, it is, yes, that is. I was looking at something else, yes. Absolutely.
So,
Once you accept it, it becomes attached to these minutes.
I actually do have a question on it.
Sure.
The amount consumed in this fourth quarter was actually less than the previous amount consumed, even though we produced a little bit more water.
Uh-huh.
So I guess that's, normally I've seen that our production has been the same.
They track.
So,
That's-
I mean, it's a small amount, I just.
Well, it's concerning, no, I agree with you, it's concerning, and that's one of the primary reasons why Prowler leak detection is coming in as soon as the frost is out of the ground in late March, early April.
And the higher productions could be because of, is that part of?
Backwashing.
Backwashing?
So it's not back, yes. And right now, water quality is a temperature and alkalinity driven situation. So our run times are 12 hours right now, given the condition of the filters. That's stellar, that's amazing. But just before you get to that point is where you have this, you know,
Lake turnover?
well, and I'm not sure that that's the cause, but it's the die-off, and once the alkalinity, the algal cells start releasing, that's where you're getting that alkalinity from die-off. I'm not sure it's always turnover, but it's certainly the cold temperatures and the die-off. And so we have had, we although we have 12-hour runs now, we probably had 6- and 8-hour runs for most of that quarter. I'm so looking forward to 24-hour run.
I bet you're not the only one.
Oh, I'm the least of them.
Okay, that,
I have no other questions, I move to
no other
accept.
questions? All right.
I make a motion, we accept it.
Second. Ray? Yeah. Any objections? Gary?
No.
All righty. Now,